Hey fans of M&A, thanks for tuning in to another episode of M&A Sports Radio, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app.
While you're in there, leave us a rating, add a comment. We appreciate the feedback. Thank you for tuning in, M&A Sports Radio.
From New York City to around the world, this is M&A Sports Radio with Moose and AJ.
M&A Sports Radio, AJ Nicoletti, Mike Moose O'Brien. Huge show this week. Of course, we'll talk to our bracketologist, Pat Bibaud, about the Final Four and an unbelievable championship game between Villanova and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Full Masters preview, and then news and notes about the NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, a little soccer talk, what pissed you off, Twitter stuff, and more. Moose, how was your Final Four weekend?
Final Four Saturday could have been a little better. It was kind of lackadaisical, but, just happened. The games weren't as good as we expected, but excited to be here. Really good show. We had a great championship game. We got our bracketologist coming on to wrap up the season. Let's get after it.
And with that, we welcome in our resident bracketologist, Pat Bibaud. Pat, welcome. How are you?
Guys, I'm doing great. Live from Augusta, Georgia. Life couldn't be better.
Pat, we'll talk about your picks later for Augusta this week. First, let's get to Saturday in the Final Four. I think the games themselves left a little bit to be desired just because they weren't really necessarily entertaining. We had a great championship game Monday night. We'll get to that later. First, let's start with Villanova, Oklahoma. And to say I was shocked would be an understatement. I was rooting for Buddy Hield and Oklahoma Sooners. Wow, this was not what I expected. Final score, Villanova 95, Oklahoma Sooners 51. What do you got for us?
I think you hit it right on the nail on the head, Moose. Shocked is an understatement. Buddy Hield scored 9 points, I think, in the first half, or he was held to 0 in the second half.
Hit his first three.
You just don't see that. Yeah, you hit the first three of the game, and he pretty much went quiet. You just don't see that. You got to give credit to Villanova and how well they defended. They pretty much just attacked them. It wasn't even close from the start. I think the first 5 or 6 minutes of that game are close, but other than that, I really don't have much to say about this. It was an absolute beatdown, and that's pretty much it. End of story.
Yeah, and I think, Rick, you kind of talked about being there. What set the tone is Buddy Hield went 4 for 12. I think he finished with 9 points. If I would have said before the game he's not going to score 25 plus, you said, okay, Villanova's going to win. Not that. Even if he scored 25 here, I don't think it would have mattered. They shot the ball at 71%. I don't think they stood a chance. And they really locked down defensively. They went through that stretch in the second half where it went from like a 10, 13-point game to like 25 or 30 quick.
Oh, for sure. And I think it was, 25-0 run or 23-0 run or something silly like that.
Yeah.
And like you said, they shot 71%, but that's not a 40-point win.
No, is there?
You know what I mean? 71% is not a 40-point win. I thought Villanova really locked down. Every time Buddy Hield thought he had a look, he kind of got suffocated. Now, don't get me wrong, because I also thought that Buddy Hield had some looks that he could have made, but that's also not going to make up 40 points. It was a complete utter beatdown.
And Buddy's supporting cast, Spangler, I can count at least 3 or 4 off the top of my head. Tippins that he missed at the rim. Cousins 3 for 14. Woodard 3 for 10. The team 6 for 27 from 3. Oklahoma did not shoot well, but you're not going to win a game when the opponent scores 95 points in college basketball and shoots 71%.
No chance.
So that was Villanova's 4th win of 19 plus. Obviously a classic. They play in the final. The only other close game they played was the Kansas game. Over to the other game in the semifinal, UNC and Cuse. UNC 83, Cuse 66. The first half, we talked about it on Saturday night. You had to love Cuse's chances because with their zone, you can get threes at any time, and Carolina is not the best shooting team, and they indeed started out 0 for their first 11 threes.
Yeah, no, you know what? UNC shot terribly, especially after coming off how hot they shot the weekend before, and that was Syracuse's chance to beat them was them having off-night shooting. But at the same time, I think it speaks to the Syracuse's lack of depth. And you know what? At the same time, UNC was just much more talented. I think Jim Boeheim said it in the presser when they were talking about, when they decided to press UNC and UNC just started getting all those dunks late in the game. What are you going to do? You're about to walk off the end of the earth anyway. You might as well go down swinging. So that's what he did. I think he kind of knew he was undermatched going in. Not that it's a basketball game, so anything can happen. UNC was a much better team. They were deeper. Even though they didn't hit shots, it was pretty glaring that they were the better team in the fight. Syracuse just ran out of magic. They had a great run. You can't take anything away from them. But at the end of the day, we were fighting fire with
gasoline.
A water pistol.
Yeah.
Water pistol.
Yeah.
When I looked at this, I think if there's anything, if you're Syracuse, you got to take a bright spot out. Malachi Richardson's there.
He was
Future's
solid.
bright. You got a kid like that. And then I think Tyler London or Lawden. He's
the shooter.
Yeah, the kid who went. Did you see the dunk he tried to throw down early?
I thought he had it.
So did I.
Yeah.
I think there is some bright spots there. I think Boeheim has 2 years left before he's done now. So can they make another push to a Final Four? I don't know. I think they have some recruits coming in. I don't know what to expect. I just think, like you mentioned, they didn't have enough once Carolina started hitting threes. And they really had to rely on North Carolina missing threes because this is literally actually the worst three-pointing shooting team in the history of North Carolina basketball.
They cut a double-digit lead from down to 7, and you're thinking in the second half, wow, they could win this game. Syracuse could win this game. Marcus Page finally hits a 3. They start making big shots. Bryce Johnson kind of not takes over, but he got some big buckets down the stretch. And then UNC survives.
Yeah, like you said, Syracuse banked on them missing shots. They missed shots, and it still wasn't even really a contest in the end. They kind of just kept them at arm's length and put them away late. It was like a big brother, little brother type matchup.
So we turn to Monday night, Pat, and which will be known as an all-time classic. One of the best basketball games I've ever seen. 77-74, Villanova wins. I mean, smalls versus bigs, if you want to talk about that, we can go that way. But in the first half, 8 lead changes, 6 ties, and a huge part of the first half was the closing sequence where North Carolina got on the break. Hart gets a huge block, saves them from going down 9, and then they get a bucket on the other end to cut the lead to 5. 5 versus 9 is such a big difference at the half. I think that was huge for Nova to get it in at that point.
That was absolutely right, AJ. That was one of the biggest swings of the game, and I actually said it to the guys I was watching it with. The minute they go down, miss a shot, and then come down and get a block on the other end, like you said, it's a 4-point swing, cuts it from 9 to 5. It's a completely different ball game. Now Villanova goes into the locker room with a little bit of confidence. And, once you get a team who's that good and give them a little bit of confidence with some seniors and what they've done lately and how well they defend, it gets pretty dangerous. The takeaway I have from this game, and you guys can kind of tell me what you think about this, Villanova made an incredible amount of difficult shots.
Yes. Yep.
I'm talking fadeaway, hands in face, challenge shots. Nothing wrong with the way UNC defended. They just made difficult shots. And the way I saw it, just by watching it, I had no dog in the fight. I mean, they made a lot of those difficult shots to the point where, when UNC missed an open one and then Villanova comes down and hits a fadeaway little, 10-footer with a guy hand in his face, that's a huge deal, And for a while, that was keeping Villanova in the game. And then all of a sudden, Villanova went on that run where they kind of started clicking and defending. And, I mean, UNC was pretty much banking on them having to miss a couple shots here and there, but Villanova answered the bell every single time. Every single time they needed to stop on defense, they seemed to get it. And every single time they needed a bucket, when UNC started getting some momentum, they would hit some ridiculous, runner in a lane, fadeaway. But credit to them. That's big-time players stepping up.
Absolutely.
Pat, to go back to your point there about the shots they were hitting, I think those shots were such a necessity, too, at that point, especially in the first half. I think North Carolina hit their first six three-point attempts after they started getting 3 for 12 from the field. And if they didn't score at that high of a rate, it could have gotten ugly for Villanova. I mean, the way it was going, I'm going, how are they – like, I think they hit a 3 to go up, Carolina to go up 25-23, and in my mind I'm watching going, how are they keeping pace with this and hitting tough shots and layups like you talked about? But what I want to talk about here is I think where North Carolina really kind of messed up here is – not messed up, but I guess an accolade to Villanova to show how tough they grinded. When Chris Jenkins went out with 2 fouls at I think it was the 18 or 19 minute mark, he didn't come back in, or I think it was the 60-minute mark. Well, either way, it was early on. It was within the first 4 minutes. He doesn't come back in.
2 quick ones.
I don't think he came back in until around the 8-minute mark, and they could never get away. All tournament, he's been a huge part of what they were trying to do. He's been hitting jumpers, and ultimately he hits the late shot, the game winner late, but it never felt like UNC capitalized on his absence in their lineup.
No, and you know what? Why that is Marcus Page took forever to get going. He was brilliant down the stretch, but he took forever to get going. I thought Bryce Johnson's head was in the clouds for a lot of that game. And, their key players didn't step up and make plays. The kids who were making plays were the guys that, we wouldn't have thought that were going to make the plays. And I thought that was a huge difference. And I thought that was huge for Villanova's confidence to kind of see that, all right, we got Chris Jenkins on the bench, who we've talked about in the last couple of weeks as being their X factor. And, they couldn't ever kind of pull away. They had a chance to bury them, and they did it. And all of a sudden, the second half rolls around, and once you get to 10 minutes and under in the game, it's anyone's ball game.
Oh, yeah, especially with a team like Carolina, where they hadn't really dealt with a lead. They fell behind 5 in the first half, and I remember hearing this is the largest deficit they faced all year, or all tournament. And you look at that.
All tournament, yep.
Yeah, and you look at that, and you're going, okay.
Let's see what you're made of.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, and it kind of felt like when Paige hit the shot late, I thought Carolina was going to win overtime. There's no doubt about that. But every time Carolina made a push, and AJ's going to get into a little bit here, it felt like Nova always had an answer, and that's the true mark of a champion. And it's something that I think we'll remember about this game, it being such a heavyweight fight.
And I admire it, and like I said, it wasn't even an answer, but they were difficult shots.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I.
Diacono had one, Jenkins had one, Booth had one.
Yep. I thought UNC defended extremely well on a lot of those possessions, but at the same time,
good
offense beats good defense sometimes.
UNC's length was giving them a nightmare, giving them trouble towards the end for sure. And that, I think ultimately in overtime, that would have been a very big problem for Nova, but good thing we don't got to talk about that, huh?
But I did think, if I could add one more point, I thought the key point of this game is the way Villanova rebounded on the defense and offensive board. I mean, not even really offensive, but more the defensive board, because, we all see as UNC such a good offensive rebounding team. Well, it seemed that every single shot that went up, it was an absolute war for the rebound. I know Meeks had some success later in the game, kind of imposing his will and grabbing some. Yeah, but early on, no. And I think Jay Wright made that a point.
On Sheffield was great.
Oh, yeah, very good. But like you said, Pat, in games like that, when you're battling all the time, you knew Meeks was going to get going eventually, and I think that's what helped them keep it the way it was. But I think Meeks getting going late is what helped them make this run, but ultimately keeping him off his game. He didn't score a bucket till like the 8 or 9 minute mark in the first half. And when I heard that, I'm going, Kennedy Meeks is a huge part of this offense. That can't happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pat, let's take it to the last 5 minutes. Let's go bucket by bucket here. And we talked about it just before, what Carolina was made of. You figure it out when you go down 5, you go down 10. So they're down 10 after Booth, who hits 2 free throws here, and you'll hear from him later in this game, but has one of the games of his life for a sophomore. He hits 2 free throws, 67-57. Barry comes down, hits 2 free throws, 67-59. Bryce Johnson gets a layup right back, 67-61, and you're like, okay, what, Jay Wright, are you going to use your timeouts? I think he had 4 at this point.
Yeah, he did.
Because he used one there. Barry comes down, hits a 3, 67-64, and UNC is just pounding at the door, and Nova's just kind of holding them off. Booth hits another jumper, 69-64, and then, Hart gets a free throw, 70-64. Page hits the first 3, and you're just thinking, look out.
Is this it again?
This is it.
From the corner. Yep.
Oh, I think this is where I thought that UNC was going to make their push and kind of overtake them, because then Bryce Johnson comes down and scores and makes it 70-69.
Yep.
And we're going, are they just going to get overpowered at this point? And that's a tendency I think we tend to see to happen when there's a bigger, more powerful team that makes a push late and sometimes steals a game. And that's the feeling I kind of started to get here.
No, I completely agree. And like you said, I think when Page hit this shot from the corner?
From the corner.
The left corner.
Yep.
Yeah, when he hit that shot, I thought the same exact thing. I said, okay, here it comes.
Yep.
Tide his turn. Because even when Villanova was up 10, I said, okay, well, this game's not over. Now, think of it the other way. If UNC's up 10 on Villanova with that time left, we're probably all putting this game away and putting them to bed.
Yep.
But, we all knew how much firepower UNC had. But it's credit to Villanova. It's tough to kind of analyze what happened without saying that, these kids just kind of went out and got it. There's nothing really else to say. But like you said, UNC willed their way back in the game, which was as impressive as anything. I thought the same thing during the time, AJ, and Moose, that Jay Wright was being a little skittish with his timeouts. But at the same time, and I get the feeling, Jay Wright knew this team better than any team Jay Wright has ever coached.
I agree.
He didn't want to extend the game if he didn't have to.
Exactly. And I thought he played it the right way, but he kind of just let his, he rolled up the balls and said, all right, you know what? These are my boys. We're rolling with them. They know what they do. They've been there before. And they made the stand, man. It's one of the best basketball games I've ever watched in my life.
Next after that, Villanova hits 2 free throws, makes it 72-69. Then how about the determination?
Wow.
How bad did Marcus Page
Oh
want
my
this?
God.
And I talked about it all year long how they were gonna go as far as his scoring took them, and he had them there. He gave them everything
rebound.
he had. Hats
Never
off.
seen anything like it.
No, he because it looked like he was gonna get an easy finish. Then he goes in amongst the trees and fights for it.
I don't know how he got that
and
ball.
lays it up off the glass. And I'm going, did he really just do that?
That was the most amazing. Besides of the three at the end, that was probably the most amazing play to me of the game. Is when he had no business getting that.
0 in the trees.
And it was at a time where if he doesn't get that rebound and score that layup, that game is over.
Yep. He made it a 1-point game, 72-71. Hart hits 2 free throws after getting fouled, where Carolina kind of wasted some time on this, and Nova got the ball into the front court. They wasted about 10 seconds not fouling, but Hart hits the 2 free throws anyway. Page comes down. They get it to him. Onchefu almost has a steal. Page goes for the 3. Double clutches. Hoist one up. Are you kidding me? It goes in. Tie game. Timeout Nova. And we're thinking, is 4.7 enough to get a shot off? Absolutely. But is it going to be a good shot? What's Villanova going to draw up? And Jay Wright has his guys 5 minutes to go with a 10-point lead. All of a sudden, it's a tie game with 4.7 seconds left. It was unbelievable theater. Archie Diacono gets the ball. Brush screen, handoff to Jenkins.
How well did that set up?
What an unbelievable shot. Jay Wright, the camera on him, he says, bang. Cool as a customer. It goes in. Unbelievable reactions. What a scene. What a game. And the 2 shots. Marcus Page's shot, we're going to talk about it right now, obviously, but that's going to be forgotten because Jenkins.
Yeah, it will. It will.
Not forgotten. Not forgotten in the sense of no one's going to remember it, but everyone's going to be like, yeah, but Jenkins hit the winner.
Yeah, but that's the way it goes, though.
That's sports.
Yeah. If you're right, think about this way: if Mario Chalmers, if Kansas loses to Memphis, no one remembers Mario Chalmers shot to win that game in overtime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact thing. It's irrelevant. And like you said, the shot was unbelievable. It's a double clutch. He makes it. I stood up out of my chair. I gasped. And you know what?
Yeah.
I have no dog in the fight. And it was one of those, like you said, AJ, it's theater. It's one of those things where emotion just kind of takes over when you're watching a sporting event like that.
Can't script it.
It was unbelievable.
Can't script
it,
But
then going down the other end, and I said it right when he did it, and I've had people argue with me about it, but they've ran that play in practice 800 times.
Yep.
I can guarantee you that. Maybe Jenkins was the 4th or 5th or whatever option in the play, but they've run that play in practice 100 times. So when they go, they execute, and the kid makes a shot, and the game's over. And that just kind of speaks to what they've did all year, the body of work they've done all year. I bashed Nova. I'll be the first to admit that I bashed Nova all year long. But this was a different team. They were tough as nails.
They were.
They had playmakers.
Defensively.
They weren't scared to kind of own the moment, I guess is the best way of putting it. And they just flat out defended. And you know what? It's very fitting that Chris Jenkins made that last shot. I know there's a lot of other guys who kind of played into taking time to where they were, but I thought that kid was the absolute X factor all tournament long, even during the end of the season.
That was great.
He was very special. He deserves it. Big Smooth for the win.
That was what a moment, Pat. I couldn't go to sleep for 3 hours. I couldn't sleep.
No,
one shiny moment was incredible, of course.
I actually didn't watch it. I told you how my phone died. I went to bed after.
I couldn't go to sleep. It was unbelievable. My heart was racing. I didn't have a dog in the fight. But like you said, my heart was racing.
Yep.
It's
one of the best basketball games I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
It's funny what a difference a year makes for me, because obviously being a Duke guy, I was more invested in just watching Carolina lose, as terrible as that sounds, as I'm supposed to be impartial. But as soon as they lost, I was like, number 1, I'm tired. Number 2, I'm good on this. Number 3, I don't feel like a half an hour to watch One Shiny Moment. I'll catch it on YouTube this week, though. I know it sounds
absolutely,
terrible.
but I gotta take a second too to give credit to UNC kids.
No,
Tremendous class after the game.
They battled.
Bryce
and you know what? It was on both ends. There was class on both ends.
Oh yeah.
It was the 2 best teams in the country went to war, and it came down to, like Roy Williams said, there were a couple times where they rolled the ball in and let it and tried to preserve some clock. Well, maybe if they didn't do that, then they go in overtime.
No,
right.
Yeah,
and
right.
that's basketball.
Yep.
That's basketball.
Yep.
No, and it's a shame. 2 great careers for Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson, 2 guys who stayed 4 years, and it seems like they did the right thing, and they're going to graduate from North Carolina, come up short, but a great season nonetheless. Biebs, thanks for coming on. Before we get you out of here, quick question for you. Since you're live from Augusta, who you got this weekend?
Live from Augusta, I'm going to give you Henrik Stenson.
I like that pick.
I think his length and his ball strike, if he can get the flat stick going a little bit, I think he's poised to make a run. I think he's ready to win a major again. There's a lot of sexy picks this year with Day, Scott, McIlroy, Spieth. I think this guy's one of the best players in the field. Obviously we know he's the best player in the field. I think he's one of the most overlooked players in the field.
Yeah, because he's always the guy. I was saying this actually earlier. I was saying he's always in like the top 10 or 15. It seems like he's in the mix, but he never gets to
every
that
week.
Next level. Yeah.
I think he's ready to win this week.
Interesting.
25-1, Pat.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to stare into his eyes tomorrow, and I'll let you know what I think.
The big Swede.
Love it.
Pat Bibaud, our bracketologist. Thanks for a great season, Pat.
Thanks for coming on, Bibaud.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate everything.
Enjoy Augusta, buddy. See ya. Thank our resident bracketologist, Pat Bibaud, for a great season. His second one, full one with us, so that was fun. Those are always great spots. We'll come back. Full Masters preview. Augusta National. The golf world, the eyes of the golf world turn to Georgia. NBA, NHL, MLB, news and notes. What pissed you off? All coming up on M&A Sports Radio.
Back after this. M&A Sports Radio, we're back. Masters preview as the calendar turns to spring. We know what that means in the golf.
Weather.
Yeah.
The weather isn't like it up here.
You kind of just killed my drop there. I wasn't even done with it. I think Matt knew that. I was going to say as we turn to spring here, we know what that means. First major golf event of the year, the Masters, Augusta, Georgia. Anthony, the floor is yours.
Well, I didn't know you were going there.
I know. You got to give someone a chance to go there.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, first major of the year. The last 5 winning scores. Spieth tied Tiger's record 18 under. Bubba -8. Adam Scott -9. Bubba again -10. Charles Schwartzel birdied the last 4 holes to get to 14 under 5 years ago. So you're looking at a score, I would say, anywhere from 8 to 13 under.
Yeah,
gives you a really good chance to win this tournament.
It's funny because you remember when we were kids, when Tiger was winning all the time, they said every year they were Tigerizing Augusta. It seems
Tiger-proofing,
it seems like none of that matters anymore. You don't see guys winning this event at 4 under. It's like you said, it's usually between. If you're at 6 under, you're not winning this thing. Like, you know what I mean?
There are birdieable holes every day.
Yeah, that's
like the par 5s you have to birdie.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that because you could get crushed elsewhere. I'm just interested to see how this plays out, man. I don't know what to expect. I feel really good about Jason Day here coming in. There's a lot of different factors I think we're going to dive into. Initially, off the top of my head, the way he's playing, I really like him. I don't know. What about you? Let's
go into the odds because we'll get to picks in a little bit. But Jason Day, 13-2, the favorite. Rory, 8-1. Spieth, 17-2. Adam Scott, 12-1. Bubba, 12-1 as well. Dustin Johnson, Phil, and Ricky Fowler at 15. 25-1, Pat's pick, our resident bracketologist, Henrik Stenson, and Justin Rose along at 25-1 as well. Stenson is an interesting play here.
He's always in the hunt.
He's always there. That's a high number for him.
He's like a top 10, 15 guy.
Yeah, he just hasn't gotten the big tournament. Justin Rose there, 25-1. And I'm going to take a flyer on Patrick Reed at 45-1.
I know. I saw you write that down. I actually didn't even write him down. I know you like him a lot. But that's, like you said, that's a guy, maybe, who knows, maybe he gets hot and gives himself a chance here on Sunday. Absolutely
huge spot for the big four. Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler trying to break through and get his first major.
I know,
He's played well. He's played well here.
Yeah, and then he won the Players last year.
Yeah, so the 5th major, if you will, as they consider it.
And that was a big moment for him.
Huge. I mean, birdied 17, I think, 3 times on Sunday.
Having finished second in 2 majors that year. It was good. It was a nice way for him to kind of...
Coming off top 10 for...
Top 5. 2 top 2s.
So, big tournament for Ricky. Rory McIlroy has to prove it that he can win at Augusta. He's won every other major championship. He has not put on the green jacket yet. Interesting year for Rory. Jason Day has played Augusta very, very well in the past. He's made multiple runs at this championship. I expect him to play well. And Jordan Spieth coming off, it'll be his 3rd start. He's looking for his 3rd top 5.
Unbelievable. He seems like, towards the end of last year, it seemed like he was losing a little steam. He had missed a cut here and there. But I think he's finally kind of getting things back in order. His putting is so.
That's the great equalizer for him.
Yeah, it's like that's the only way I can describe it. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm interested to see how that. Can he hit the ball the way he hit it last year? Because if he does,
he was extremely aggressive.
Yeah, that was a historic pace. I don't think we'll see that again. But what type is there? There's definitely going to be added pressure. Being the defending champ, how does he deal with it? That's going to be key.
He is a cool customer though.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Rory got hurt at the end of last year. Remember, he hurt his ankle, so he couldn't play down the stretch. So this is a big moment for him. And
missed the Open Championship, I believe.
Because remember, he thought about playing, but I just think I think it was a torn ligament or something like that. So there's a lot of question marks going to this tournament, which is why I go back to Jason Day. I think it's his.
If
time.
his back could hold up, he's definitely a target for this
I think he's playing as good as
last 8 months. He's been spectacular.
As good as anyone in the world.
I agree.
Post Spieth going on the run to win, you know what I mean, early on there in 2015. Day's been right in stride with him.
Absolutely. You look outside the big four, Scott and Bubba looking to win. Bubba looking to win his third. Adam Scott looking to win his second. Interesting to see what they can do. Both long hitters. Adam Scott a little more consistent than Bubba, fairway green putting. But Bubba's weird. Like, he's weird. He can putt here. In courses he can putt at, he's dangerous because that's his key.
And that's, I think, where you give Phil a chance too, because the familiarity with the course, a guy who knows if he's in the hunt on Sunday, he can go in and shoot 66 and give himself, you know what I mean, be in the mix.
Phil's been hitting the ball well.
That's what I'm saying. I expect him to be in the mix. I don't expect him to win. I wouldn't be overly surprised if he was in the final pair on Sunday. But I think this is going to be more of a young guy show. I think you'll see some old school guys in the mix the first couple of days. It's what you usually see happen.
Sucks Freddie Couples is out.
Yeah, he's back. He's back. Yeah.
Tiger obviously out, which sucks. But if he can be healthy, you have to be healthy.
Yeah.
Don't rush back.
I think we'll see him in the summertime.
Yeah, I mean he can. Golf is a sport where you can compete into your 50s. Does he win another major again? Probably not. Does he win a tournament again? Maybe.
You can play into your 50s. You can't compete into your 50s.
Well, he's a different kind of guy. We'll see.
How many different
kinds of guys? He could have a revival.
No, he could. He could also have another back surgery.
That's very true. That's very true.
So let's
could go either way.
Let's be transparent here. Which way is it looking, though?
I would say trending down.
Okay.
I'll be fair. Yeah. I would say that. Yeah, he has not played great golf recently.
So let's keep that in mind. He's a different type of guy.
Another guy that's very true. We'll get off Tiger now. We're done with the Tiger bashing.
I'm a fan. I'm just saying, let's keep it real.
Can Dustin Johnson get to the point where he's going to be near the leaderboard going into the weekend?
But can he not
He's
choke?
Been known as a choker.
He did it
There's
last
no
year.
question about it.
Because he's a guy, like you said, he's at the top of the leaderboard and seems like in all these tournaments, and then he melts like putty down the stretch.
He needs to be able to hit strong wedge shots and putt. His short game has to be immaculate.
That's where he melted down
week,
last year.
He has just not been good.
That's where he melted down last year. And
he's not been good.
And it cost him a shot at a major championship last year.
I mean, you 3-putt on 18
no.
for the U.S. Open.
It's over. It was over. It was in his hand.
At least a playoff.
It was his for the taking. But even more so than anything, it was his. If he played like he had played the rest of the tournament, it was his.
So, some of the guys that we like to highlight are that. Obviously, look at the course, the par 5s. You have to take advantage of 2, 8, 13, and 15. You need to score well on those holes if you want to win the championship over 4 days.
Oh, no doubt about that. And I think the 3 holes we like to talk about all the time are Amen Corner, 11, 12, and 13.
Yep.
A lot of classic moments have come down the stretch over the years. Interesting to see if we have one of those moments, especially during the weekend during this tournament.
If you could stay relatively close to 1 under, 2 under on the front, and then kind of
battle on the you know what I mean.
If you can grind through that first 9, because the second 9, it's gettable.
It's more.
It's
open.
definitely
it's more
gettable,
open.
And it's more iconic. Let's be honest. But I mean, you look at those holes. Like you need to take advantage of 15 on Sunday. You have to get an eagle or birdie there just to get up the leaderboard if you're in contention or show that you can get the lead. Because 16, it's had its moments as a tough par 3. And then 17 and 18, I wouldn't wish the tee shot on 18 on my worst enemy, like down the stretch on a Sunday.
Such an exciting time. I'm really interested to see how tomorrow goes. It's going to be awesome. Did you see Arnold Palmer's actually not hitting the ball?
Arnie's getting old, man.
Yeah, no.
So... I mean, I'm glad that he did it for that many years.
Him, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus. Right?
Yep. ESPN picks up coverage Thursday and Friday, 3 to 7:30. CBS Saturday and Sunday. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz.
I'm gonna have to.
And Cernick Faldo in the tower at 18. No. So look forward to that. David Faraday not on the coverage. He's an NBC guy now, which is kind of disappointing because
but that happened at the end of last year. So,
but the best is Vern in the tower at 16 is the best because he says like 3 words.
It's funny.
Wow.
I was listening to Charles Barkley on Mike and Mike the other day, and he was talking about how when he hears someone he was talking to or someone he saw on Twitter hates Vern Lundquist. He's like, how can you hate Vern Lundquist?
Guy's a legend.
There's something like when you're turning into a sporting event, whether it be golf or whether it be the NCAA tournament, the day I don't hear his voice on one of those calls, it's gonna feel weird.
Very sad.
And I actually saw you tweet out probably like a couple weeks ago. He's a national treasure.
He is a national treasure.
He is. Think about it. He was in Happy Gilmore.
Him, Raph, Lee Corso, they're all national treasures.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little more special to me than Lee Corso, but I know.
Yeah, but we've kind of grown up with him on game day.
For Bill Raftery.
Raph is the best. Little lingerie on the deck. Man. Raph's the best. That's why it sucked when. This is a tangent, but this is why it sucked when they broke up Raph and Vern to go with him and Grant Hill to Nance.
Yeah, but they did that once they made the merger.
Yeah, but I'm fine with it now. I mean, Vern and Raph are obviously an unbelievable tandem,
and it's been the best thing they ever did for the tournament. So
yeah, and Nance, Grant Hill, and him, Raph had a great tournament. But anyway, back to golf. Who's your pick?
I like Jason Day. The way I think you're gonna lean, I want to take Rory McIlroy. I just don't think it's enough.
All right, pick out of the ones I gave you. Out of the odds, we'll do the whole thing. Pick 3.
I like Jason Day, Rory McIlroy.
So I gotta take the top 2 favorites.
And Dustin Johnson.
Okay. So I'll take.
Excuse me. Check that. Ricky Fowler.
Damn! Come on, man.
My bad.
I'll take Spieth.
You shouldn't let me go first. I don't know what to tell you.
You took Day, Rory, and Ricky. That's
okay,
3 of the big 4.
I'll go Day, Ricky,
okay,
and Dustin Johnson. Does that make you feel better?
Okay. I'll
Is
take.
that what my guys do better anyway? You have no excuse.
I'll take Rory, Jordan.
Oh wow! Really going out on a limb here.
I gave you 2. I gave you 2 of the big 4. I'm taking the other 2. And Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed might steal this tournament. I'll just say that.
Honestly, I'm hoping, poor Patrick Reed, I hope he does well, but I hope he misses the cut and AJ comes on next week and just play that clip.
That would suck. That would suck pretty hard. But I expect a big tournament from him. I mean, the Masters, it brings the best golf out of the people that are playing the best at the moment. So that will be fun to watch this weekend. Show sponsored by Atomic Wings. AtomicWings.com. Combo meal party platter. Get it for your Masters weekend. Also, check out the Alzheimer's Association, act.alz.org/go to Shane Henry to donate. Great cause there, longest day. We'll come back. NBA, NHL, MLB, what pissed you off, all that and more. M&A Sports Radio.
Back after this.
M&A, we're back, okay. NBA Basketball Hall of Fame. AI, Tom Izzo, Yao, Shaq, among 6 others, inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I know I said this before the show, and I think you think I'm being a little harsh.
No.
I think Yao I think when he was a player, he was good, but I think he's more, and I don't think it's wrong. I think he's more of a cultural symbol / icon. I don't know what you want to call him. Than his merit as best. He had moments career-wise. He averaged 19 and 9, but he played roughly like 4.5 seasons at that elite level. That's my only beef. But good for him. I mean, you're 7'6", you have bad foot issues. It's bound to happen. I just think. There's guys along the way who've had better numbers probably over extended periods of time at different positions and just don't get the look.
Yeah,
that's my beef.
But you said it. You took the words right out of my mouth when we were talking about it. When he played, he was excellent.
No, definitely.
Those few years, he was excellent. He was unstoppable.
And he could shoot the 15 to 18 footer. He could even hit a 3 once in a while if he was alone. So, what he did is admirable. It's just they went through a time there where they started to get really good. Then him and T-Mac fell apart. So that's
with
what
Van Gundy.
Yeah. Yep.
Shaq, first
the rest of the people.
AI was unbelievable talent. Izzo, glad he got in.
AI's I believe I saw a stat today. He's one of the only people under 6 feet or under average over 20 points a game.
He's also one of people that would go into new cities and throw his clothes away and buy new clothes.
For him and his entourage, which is why his financial situation is known to be floundering. So that's not something to be promoted.
No. Great word choice there. Celtics beat the Warriors. The Warriors are 69-8 as we record this. They play the Timberwolves tonight, going for 70-8. They got to go 4-1 down the stretch.
They lost to Boston on Friday night. As someone who roots for the Celtics, very encouraged for the Celtics. No Jay Crowder. That's gutting it out. That's getting after it and really digging in and saying, hey, we really want this game.
Thomas was really good in the third quarter.
In the second half, he had 22 in the second half, switched up the kicks. Those other shoes didn't have any buckets in them. He wasn't kidding. So I think that's a big win for them. I think the next night or 2 days later, Golden State goes out at home. They beat Portland by 25. Poor Portland. They have to be the team that faces the brunt of that. I think Golden State does get the record here. I think the Spurs aren't going to worry about trying to take them down at this point in the season. They're all systems a go. They're looking towards the postseason. I think Golden State gets it done. I'd be very shocked if they didn't at least tie Jordan's Bulls.
I think they definitely tie. Getting the extra one will be.
They have to be one game above 500 for the next 5 games to tie it,
which is insane because they've only lost 8
Honestly,
to this point.
if they go 71-11 and win the ring, they still be up. If they go 73-9 and don't get there, it's not.
Exactly.
It's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. Greg Popovich told one of his guys, Dwayne Casey, the head coach of the Raptors, that he thinks they're coming out of the East and they're going to challenge the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals and win. So beating the Cavs is going to be a tough ask in the East because they're head and shoulders above a lot of those teams. But the Raptors have certainly as a good chance, if not better chance, than the rest of the Eastern Conference.
My whole issue with the Raptors right now is Kyle Lowry's banged up. I don't know if you saw he's having an issue with his left elbow or one of his elbow. I think it may even be his right elbow he's having an issue with. So, if that's your shooting arm, that's going to be an issue. They've been a little up and down the last week or two. I think their thing's going to be healthy. Damari Carroll hasn't been active. That's been a big hole in the lineup, so they need him back. It's going to be tough for them to beat the Cavs without Damari Carroll. Patrick Patterson's done really well. Valanciunas has been good up front. DeMar DeRozan's had a huge year. But they need a full, healthy team to beat the Cavs because I think even if the Cavs are banged up somewhere, they can kind of patch things up and make it work. We saw that last year when no Kyrie, Kevin Love. Kyrie was out most of the postseason, got hurt in the finals. Kevin Love hurt early in the series against Boston. So I think Toronto can't afford anything to go wrong, and I kind of think that they're headed that way. I think it's a good story for this time of year. Obviously, one of Greg Popovich is trying to give his guys some praise, but I don't think it's realistic. Do you? I don't think they're going to beat the Cavs. Especially
I don't think they're going to beat the Cavs, but I think they give the Cavs, either them or the Celtics give the Cavs their best shot.
My whole thing with the Celtics is it depends who the Celtics play in the first round. They play the Heat. Right now they're matched up to play the Heat.
Ooh.
Which is it's a tough ask.
That's a good series.
They don't match up well. That's my only concern.
Stevens versus Spoelstra would be a very interesting
No, you're a better
matchup.
coach, but you don't have a better lineup. So that's
not knocking Spo, but I think Stevens is a better coach.
Yeah, no, and I think Eric Spoelstra, since the first year of that Big Three in Miami, has come a long way as a head coach, and he's probably one of the top 10 coaches in the league. But I just think, like you said, Brad Stevens is a better coach. I just think Miami's better, and they got more experience right now. The Celtics would need another guy to go along Isaiah Thomas to beat them, I think. The Celtics would need to win to not lose a game. They need to keep home court the whole way. I think they'd have a tough time winning a playoff game in Miami.
Not over in a series till you lose at home.
Exactly.
Over the NHL, Rangers clinch, but the status of Ryan McDonough surrounds the team.
It's clearly a big loss if they lose McDonough. I think there's enough time with it being hockey, clearly, where if he sits out the rest of the way, I think he's going to be fine. He's just going to play through it. I don't think you're worried about it, are you?
He's obviously he's the captain, but he's
going to play.
He's a guy that eats a ton of minutes on the back end, and if you don't have him out there, obviously the Yandel haters will get on Yandel for playing more minutes. I'm going to get on Dan Girardi because I think he's still space jammed. So you need Ryan McDonough in this lineup to eat minutes.
It's a tough spot to be in, especially if they say, hey, we got to shut him down for the year or something.
That's very bad.
I don't think so.
That's worst case scenario.
Because it's a hand. That's why I don't think. I think it's a struggle from the point where stick handling, that's where you worry about things. And that's why I think you just rest him, you don't take any chances. Literally tell him to elevate his hand and sit there for a week.
Just
literally.
Sit there.
Literally.
David Backes and the goalie Allen are out for the Blues for the rest of the season. Two huge blows to St. Louis's chances. I think they're done now. I mean, they're in the playoffs, obviously, but they're going to match up with the Blackhawks most likely in that 2-3. The Blackhawks own them, let's be honest.
And this is another year where you look at last year. 2 years ago, they go out and get Ryan Miller. You're like, is this their year? Nope. They were, I guess, last year they can't get it done. And it just seems like now things aren't going their way at all, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a good matchup for them at all. They're on their way out. And they're a franchise where you look at what do they need to do to get to that next step. And that's a great question. It may haunt them for a long time until they figure it out.
Out east, Boston, Philly, Detroit, Islanders all battling for playoff spots. Detroit with that playoff streak still on the line. Philly's come on of late. Boston is they're grasping at points. They need to get some wins.
They're up and down. They're like 500 right now. That's the problem.
Islanders have been in a position where it's theirs to lose. So being in that position on the whole year kind of takes its toll on you.
I shouldn't say 500. I'm sorry about the Bruins. I mean, it feels like they're 500 because they're up and down back and forth.
That's fine. So I think Detroit gets in. I think the Islanders get in.
I think Detroit and the Islanders get in. I think they're probably the top two of these four. Just based on...
I think it's 3 spots for 4 teams or 3 spots.
No, but I'm saying I'm saying of these top two teams, the top two here, I think it's those two. I think Boston gets in over Philly just because I think they have that edge when it comes to an experience standpoint.
I don't think Philly's that good.
No, they're not. They haven't.
They have Giroux.
Even the year they went to the Cup, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago? They were a 7 seed, so they're not that good.
They shouldn't even have been in the playoffs because they beat the Rangers in a shootout on the last day of the season.
And it's a shame because you look at, and Claude Giroux is a good player. I know you don't like him, but they aren't.
I like him. I just don't like him because he's on the Flyers. Like, he's a great player. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a good player. He's a great player.
Fair.
He's one of those. If he was on another team, I'd be like, whoa, Claude Giroux is so good. I'd be like an advocate.
Yeah, no.
But since he's on the Flyers, I hate his guts, but he's a great player.
I got you.
Baseball, Bryce Harper, again, homers. I think it was his 4th opening day home run. I mean, just picking up where you left off if you're the MVP.
He needs to be the MVP, though, for them if they're going to make a run at this thing. Because last year they were so up and down. He was the only thing that was consistent about their team, but he's still so young. It's almost scary how immature their team was last year. I don't know what to expect from them. I think we talked about it last week. The Mets are still the team it seems like they're looking up at. But can they make a run at this thing? I don't know.
Speaking of the Mets, they lose their opener. A lot of talk about David Wright and having to drop him in the order from the Mets fans very early. I think it's a plausible thing, though. I really do, because his back could go at any point, and to put him in the 2-hole right now, I think it's a really good spot for Neil Walker. I think that's a great spot for maybe Conforto if you can get him in there.
But I think they want to leave Conforto in more of a power hitting role. You know what I mean?
I understand that, but he's already 6th. It's not like he's hitting 5th. You know what I'm saying?
And you want your best hitters to get as many at bats.
Exactly. If you plug David Wright back in, if you flip him and Conforto, I think that's a better lineup than the other way. Just because, obviously, if David Wright gets on and is healthy, you want Conforto up there with him on base or someone else on base. But if he's not going to be able to catch up to a 94-mile-an-hour fastball consistently, you got to think about dropping him in the order. No. Obviously, it's one game. They won today, so they're 1-1.
Syndergaard goes 6 scoreless, 9 strikeouts.
He gave up a triple to Escobar. First batter of the game, he struck out the side. Against a team that doesn't strike out.
Yeah, no need to worry about death by contact today.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Mets, we know what the Mets are. They're a great pitching team. They're going to add somebody in the bullpen most likely before July.
I just don't get why they didn't re-sign Clippard. That's all. It wouldn't have cost too much. 1-year deal.
You know what? I think the fans and the front office, once he got into that World Series, where he didn't pitch that well.
He didn't pitch. I mean, but he made it work. Even when he
Yes.
got into bad spots, he made it work.
But my point is, I don't think they felt he was coming back from that positively.
But yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
But I mean, baseball's a long season. So
What'd you think of Zach Greinke getting rocked in his first outing?
again, long season. It's something where.
That's funny because you texted me Jacoby Ellsbury stinks today.
Yeah, it was
And
a joke.
And I said long season.
You said hater.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything about a long season.
I mean, well, I said it's 1 of 162. I think I did say that.
I don't think so. Because I LOL because you said hater. It was funny. But, I mean, listen. It's early. You're going to lose. Every team wins 60 games. Every team loses 60 games. It's about the other games, right?
No, 100%.
So,
And
if you think about it that way, you could chalk up some of these losses to those 60 games.
And let's face the facts. If the Yankees are going to be a real player in this, he needs to be their best player.
He needs to be one of their best players,
No, he needs to
question.
be their
And he
best.
needs to be healthy. He needs to stay on the field.
I wouldn't mind if the Yankees rested him.
Well, that's why they got Hicks.
Yeah. No, but
I like Hicks.
Why is he hitting the 2-hole? Why is Starlin Castro not hitting the 2-hole?
I don't understand that.
Then,
I
and,
did not.
And then, of
understand
course,
that. And why your
Starlin
boy?
Castro comes out
I know you knock Headley, and I kind of defend him, but there's no way
You hit
that
Headley before.
you should hit Chase Headley ahead of Starlin
But
Castro.
no offense to Hicks, he was like an average outfielder. He's hitting 2. I mean, maybe the split stats show something I don't know, but Starlin Castro's a 3-time All-Star, 2 or 3 times All-Star. He's 25 years old. Hicks is like a utility outfielder they traded for John Ryan Murphy. Like, what?
I'm going to be very interested to see what they do if Ellsbury and Brett Gardner do not get off to mediocre to hot starts, because you can't leave them getting out in the first 2 holes in the lineup over and over and over
Well,
again.
Gardner didn't even start today. That's what I'm saying.
But
you should have one in the night, especially if, like you said, if they're very slow to start. I think you leave Ellsbury leading off. I think you put Gardner in the 9-hole, and then you take speed and you translate it over with speed.
Because Starlin Castro is going to spray the ball all over this ballpark.
And if he hits 270, 280, and hits 15 or 20 homers and drives in 80 or 85 runs, that's all you can ask for out of the 2-hole if you have Starlin Castro there.
So, long baseball season, so we'll obviously touch on that the whole way through. Real quick, soccer notes. The Champions League quarterfinals started today. Barcelona beats Atletico Madrid. Suarez scores 2. Fernando Torres took the lead at the Nou Camp and then got sent off on 2 yellow cards. So he will be suspended for the next match. Bayern Munich beat Benfica. Wolfsburg and Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain and City are the other matchups. So look forward to that. Champions League soccer it's honestly some of the best. So, and then Liverpool plays Dortmund in the Europa League, so that'll be interesting. What pissed you off?
It's funny. Last week after the show ended, the day after, I'm at the gym. I look up at the TV, and it's news that South Carolina, even though they did not get in the NCAA tournament, had actually been texted by the NCAA and letting them know that they were in the tournament. And I looked at that. Number one, I get it's 2016, and you have to, you know what I mean? You have to use technology and stuff like that. You can't have a representative call a coach or somebody from the university to confirm it. I think this is a pretty big deal, right? You'd say?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sucks.
Can't there be someone like from your conference, hey, you're getting in? Like a representative of your conference for the NCAA? Isn't that how you do it? Am I crazy? I was thinking about that. How can there be no... And
I just don't understand how a mistake's made between... You have a list of the teams that you have to call, and you call someone not on the list.
Or how about when the real bracket getting out before? That's a completely different thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, what pissed me off was this, but more than anything, I don't mean to go off on a tangent here. The whole process in general between the leak bracket, now they get a fake text. Like, when is it
going on?
When is it going to get right? And then people, every year, no one's ever happy with the bracket. I just wish there was a better way. I think there's never... It's an imperfect system. There's always going to be what ifs. Why didn't they get in? I made fun of Syracuse. They went to the Final Four. So you know what?
Right.
So should Monmouth be in? No, should they be in over Syracuse? No. Sorry. So it's a double-edged sword. I just wish there was better communication. There was a better way to go about things, because I think the way they do business is wrong, but the product is great, and that's what pisses me off. AJ, what do you got?
You know what gets at me? When people take shots at great people. And the people that are going after Jim Nantz the last 3 weeks need to calm it down, because Jim Nantz is the man. Jim Nantz is Mr. CBS. He gets all the big games. He gets all the big spots. And these people that are going after him because he likes his toast burnt, because he gives away his tie to a senior after the NCAA championship, and then he goes to Augusta and people knocking him for doing the whisper voice and making it seem better than it is. Shut up. I'm sick of it. Jim Nantz for life.
That wasn't even a good what pissed you off.
No, it was. It's about energy. Anyway.
It almost seemed kind of lackluster and like you were trying to get a laugh out of it. I don't know what to think here.
It wasn't that. I was serious.
No.
I don't like people coming after my guy.
Okay. Hello, friend.
Hello, friends. Signing it off, thanks to the sponsor, Atomic Wings, the Alzheimer's Association. Check that out. Producers on the other side of the glass, Joe Formica, Matt Vaccaro. Fans, listeners, contributors to the show. Find the show on iTunes and SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, masportsradio.com. Number for the audio mailbag. Leave voicemails. Talk to us, 646-397-6368. So we'll come back next week. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs right around the corner. We'll wrap up the Masters, baseball talk, NFL camps, mini camps. There will be news about people getting released and stuff like that, so we'll touch on that. Moose, I thank you. Say what you got to say.
See you next week.